All right, we're going to get things started with the webinar right now, guys. Hello, and thanks for taking the time to join this free webinar today. My name is Dale Bateman. I'm a part-time internet marketer living near Toronto, Canada. My background is in graphic design, marketing, and personal training. Plus, I've been building my online business as a part-time internet marketer for almost 4 years. Now, before I get started with today's free webinar, let me share with you what I believe is the number one mistake that most internet marketers make. And yes, this includes me, especially when they are just getting started. Because I am truly passionate about wanting to help people achieve more success in their lives, and hopefully you will learn from my mistakes. As you know, many people have had great success online. However, without even realizing it, they were creating only a short-term business model. Why? They didn't build a list. They create a multitude of products to sell online. Some are good, most are not so good. They sell them through forums, affiliates, and advertising. Maybe they make a lot of money. Most of the time they don't. Why? They didn't build a list. Some of the greatest online marketers have had pockets of success by leveraging things like Google AdSense. By implementing simple keyword strategies early on, some brought in a whopping 6-figure income. But then, Google changed the rules, and these once successful online marketers were left with almost nothing. Can you guess why? That's right, they didn't build a list. So why is a good list so important? Quite simply, a quality list will continue to pay you for your quality online content over and over and over again. It all comes down to the trust that you earn from your email list. They learn to trust you because you've taken the time to build a strong relationship with them. So, what's the best way to build a strong, loyal list? That's what we're going to be covering in this free webinar series. Now, I want to officially welcome you to this free internet marketing webinar. Let's get started. Grab a pen and some paper to make notes. Once the webinar is over, I'll open the floor for some Q&A. Right now, I'm doing high-level internet marketing and creating automated and passive sources of income online. Plus, I'm enjoying teaching people, just like you, how to do the same thing and make money online. But this time around, I'm making sure that everyone on my team is focused on building a list. Don't make the same mistakes that I made. Make sure that you take the strategies you will learn here and use them to build a strong, loyal email list. But remember, when you are successful, make certain that you take time for what's really important in your life, like spending more time with your family, or maybe doing some traveling you've always wanted to do, or being able to buy that new car you have always wanted. I mean, that's what's so great about working from home. You have the freedom to do what you want, when you want, and as much as you want. Now, let's get to building you a good list. Here's what we'll be covering tonight. This week we are going to be talking about creating a sellable product. Very important. It's all well and good to have a product that we're going to sell online, but if it's not actually sellable, is it really that great? We're going to explore that. So let's get started with this. Many marketers have created or acquired products that they thought would sell well, and, in their enthusiasm, set up everything from sales letters to websites to getting traffic. However, a lot of these marketers have forgotten the single most important factor that will affect their product sales, which is the sellability of the product. When you begin creating products or buying rights to a certain product to sell, as an affiliate for instance, the most important factor you must take into account is the demand for the product. Do people want your product? That's the simple question you have to ask yourself. And what we're going to do tonight is explore a couple of ways that you can determine whether there is indeed a demand for your product. So again, I want you to make sure you write that down and ask yourself this question as soon as you get that idea in your head about a product that you think you should market online. Ask yourself, do people want my product? Let's continue. It is simply stupid to waste a month's time preparing a product, setting up the website and required sales techniques, only to find that people do not even flick an eyebrow at your product. Your final goal is to deliver the product to your customer and collect his or her money. Okay, let's repeat that one. Your final goal is to deliver the product to your customer and collect his or her money. That's the prize, guys. You talk about keeping your eyes on the prize. That's what we're talking about. That's the final goal. So everything that you do leading up to that end result has to work. In order to do this, you must make sure your customer wants to buy your product in the first place. So, how do you find out if they want your product? Well, it's actually pretty simple. Let me explain. You just ask. Where do you ask? You ask in forums related to your niche. Hold a survey or a public poll. Guys, the internet is a level playing field. That's what's so great about it. There's no one person or one company that holds more power or influence on the internet. If you go into your online business knowing that the internet is a level playing field for everybody, you'll have a lot more success a lot faster. So, as I said, the internet is a level playing field, and you have the power to reach just about anyone in the world who has an internet connection. Okay, never forget that. You have the power to reach just about anyone in the world who has an internet connection. So don't ever feel that you're restricted or that there's no market for anything to do with the niche that you're thinking about. There's always somebody out there, and there are more and more people joining this online boom, if you will, every single day. So let's say you have this brilliant idea on creating a step-by-step instruction on how to cook Malaysian food. Okay, just as an example. First, you must find out if anyone is interested in or even heard of Malaysian food, right? To do this, go to a food-related forum and ask tactfully if anyone would be interested in learning Malaysian cuisine. Now, I should have put emphasis on the word tactfully, and let me explain why. Do not ask blatantly whether anyone would like to buy an ebook with instructions on how to cook Malaysian food, okay? Or you might be in danger of being accused of spamming. That's what a lot of people tend to do. They get very enthusiastic about their new product or service that they want to offer, and there's nothing wrong with that, for sure. The trouble is, people get into this mindset where they feel that because they are enthusiastic and excited about the product or service that they have, they just expect that everyone else in the world or everyone else who comes in contact with them should be just as enthusiastic and excited. But the truth is, everybody has this thing that we call free will, and everyone has their own opinion of everything. So people's opinion that you show your product to may not necessarily be the same as yours. So what we're trying to get after here is we're trying to get other people's opinions and feedback back to you before you start taking the big steps and getting more involved with marketing this new product. You know, your new ebook about Malaysian cuisine, which is probably really cool and really awesome. But unless you can justify the need and the want in other people who, in the end, really are your consumers, they're the ones who are, as I said a few slides ago, you're going to deliver your product to and collect his or her money. Unless they're on board with it, it's really not going to go anywhere. All right, so let's continue. Now, on the other hand, you can give out a few samples of your Malaysian recipes to test the waters. That's another option that you can do. If you have a product or a service that can be, let's say, broken down, like this recipe ebook that we're talking about in this example, you could pick out a few select recipes and you could throw them out there in the forum and see what people think. Test the waters, in other words. See how the other forum members react to them. Okay, when you give out these freebies, ask for some feedback. If they show enthusiasm for learning more, then you definitely have a market in this. If they show no interest, then it's time to look for a new idea to market. Okay? And that's really the thing that people have a lot of trouble with. I'm going to leave this slide up for a moment as we discuss this, because, as I said before, you yourself are convinced that this product or idea is just the next best thing since sliced bread. And more often than not, the majority of people out there do not share your interest and your enthusiasm in the product. And that's too bad. But the important thing that you have to do at that point, when you see that there is no interest, is move on. Okay? I want you to write that down. Write down these words. No interest equals move on. Okay, it's time to go back to the drawing board. Maybe you got a little bit of interest from a couple of people for your Malaysian recipes. Let's say you gave out a few free recipes to a forum that's got 10,000 members in it. And out of those 10,000 members who potentially saw your recipes that were available for free, you don't know if everyone did, out of those potential 10,000, you got 5 respondents. 3 of them said, looks cool, but not really into Malaysian cuisine. And the other 2 said, wow, it's about time somebody sent out or did an ebook about Malaysian cuisine, or are you thinking about doing an ebook about Malaysian cuisine? If so, sign me up. Okay, so there you go. You've got 2 people out of 10,000 potentially who like your idea. Now, with those kinds of numbers, would you think that's a viable thing to proceed with? Especially if the other 3 respondents that you got did not show interest. I mean, you only got 5 respondents, and the majority, 3 out of those 5, showed no interest in the product or in your recipes in the least. So then it's time to move on. So maybe you look at a different type of cuisine if you still want to get into the cooking ebook. Look into a different type of cuisine that maybe is more popular with people, or change your approach a little bit. Focus more on techniques than you do on recipes. Whatever it might be, you have to accept that it's time to get back to the drawing board. And the sooner you do that acceptance procedure, the better. The more time you're going to have to devote to whatever your new idea is. And there's always a new idea. Okay? There's always a new spin on something. In future webinars, we're going to talk about re-engineering content that you find on the internet. And this is one of the best ways to come up with new ideas to sell as products or services, is to just take things that are existing and repurpose or re-engineer them in your own way. What's your unique spin that you can put on something? Okay, you see a product that's maybe somewhat popular and a lot of people like it, so you know that there's some interest there, but you know in your heart that you yourself could take that product and make it better. What is the way that you can take that product and make it better? In other words, what is your unique selling proposition or your unique selling position? We call that a USP. Taking a product and putting a unique spin on it so that people see it as something new and exciting. Okay, so keep thinking about that. But the main thing I want to get across here is no interest equals move on. Go to the next idea. And we're going to go to the next slide. So by doing this, you save time in the long run because you don't have to find out the low demand for your product the hard way. You haven't gone through that month-long process of creating your squeeze page, buying traffic potentially even, doing all these other steps, creating a website for it, getting some graphics done for it, all this other stuff that you didn't have to waste time on because you found out early that there's a low demand for that product. So if your idea is welcomed by the forum members you've surveyed, you can go ahead and compile your extensive ebook on cooking Malaysian food because there is interest in the information you possess. Okay, and that's really the key. If I gave you the example of only 2 people out of the 5 respondents coming back with a positive for you. What if it went the other way? What if you got, out of those potential 10,000 members in that forum, what if you got 100 responses and 85 of them were positive? That is the other side of the coin. That's the flip side. That's what I would consider to be a very positive response. So that's essentially giving you the green light to go ahead and prepare your product. Because you know that once you come back to your forum members or your email list or your Facebook groups that are all about cooking, that you know there's a pretty good chance that a good number of people are going to be interested and will at least check out your product and see what it's all about. Okay? So I'm going to leave you with this final point before we move on to your weekly set of 5 ways to make money online. Where there is interest, you can easily build up desire for your product. And with desire, and I've got in brackets, plus good marketing, your buyers will arrive naturally. Okay, let me repeat that. Where there is interest, you can easily build up desire for your product. And with desire, plus good marketing, your buyers will arrive naturally. And that's the way it happens, guys. It really is as kind of organic as that. You have to find that interest, and from interest, you can build up desire. But you have to have that spark of interest first, because without that, it doesn't matter really what you do, you can probably never build up desire for your product if there's no initial interest in it. Okay? And once you have that desire, that's when your marketing takes over, and you can start using the tips you learn in these webinars and, bring the people in. Okay? Create that effective squeeze page. Set up those effective Facebook ads, whatever it is that helps to turn your potential buyers into your actual buyers. They will arrive naturally. All right, so I hope that is helpful for you in creating a sellable product to sell online. All right, with that being said, let's move on. And now, here are tonight's 5 ways to make money online. So each week, if you're new here, first of all, welcome. Every week, I'm sharing with you 5 different ways to make money online. Now, the bulk of what I do and what I would encourage you to do is just as we've been talking about. Build relationships around a niche and products or services that will help to alleviate problems that people have within that niche. But these are some other ideas, some things that maybe you can try in the meantime, or as well as building your list, because that's the most important thing, is building that list. These are some things you can try if you, there are ways basically that you can get some cash flow going a little sooner, because I say this to you all the time in my webinars. You have to look at your list building strategy as a long-term strategy. Okay, remember back in the very early slides I mentioned about the people who were setting up their online business but were actually setting up a short-term business model? Well, what we're after is a long-term business model. We want to have these people on our lists for years and years, and we've built up the trust with them so much that they just automatically, they can't get out their credit card fast enough whenever we've got a new product to offer, because they know they can trust us. We've built that relationship, and they know they're getting something of quality. So here's some alternatives that you can do in the meantime to get some things going online. It's good practice too. So number 11, this is the third in the series tonight, so we're into 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15 tonight. So writing reviews. Writing reviews is another way to make money online. Companies are always on the lookout to advertise their company's product or services, and more often than not, they approach bloggers who already have a readership about the topic close to the products or services they want promoted. The hired blogger will then write a review of the product or service in exchange for cash. Now, you can expect to earn from $20 to $200 per review that you write. Okay? So the key here, guys, is yes, companies are always on the lookout to advertise their company's product or service, but you can kind of help the process along by, offering up your services as a review writer. And the best way to do that is to simply start writing your own. Okay? If you're a blogger, and you should have your blog, and you should be updating it daily if possible. Choose a product. Let's go back to our example. You could choose a cookbook on Malaysian cuisine, and you could do a review on that cookbook. Nobody has offered up anything for you, but if you prepare your review and you perhaps submit the review to the publishing company that published that cookbook, that might spark something where somebody sees your review, sees that you've taken the time and you've written it well and given an honest review of that product, and that could spark something where they would perhaps start coming to you to write future reviews. Because I'm just talking here with the publishing industry. Have you ever noticed, if you look on usually the back cover of just about any given book that's published and printed, there's usually at least a couple of reviews there from quote unquote professionals or people who have read the book and have given their opinion about it. Okay, that's how they sell books, because people trust what they read in reviews of things. All right. More often than not, people will put more faith in a review of a product by a third party than they will in the actual manufacturing company's promotions for that product. Okay? The company can say, buy our product, it's really cool, it's really awesome, it's exactly what you need. They can say that all day, but until so-and-so writes a little review and says, yeah, I agree, these people have made a good product. Until that happens, the sales just simply won't be there, because people trust reviews. So if you're good at looking at products, and you don't necessarily even have to be quote unquote good at it, everybody's good at it. You have your own opinion about a particular product within your niche. So approach it that way. Look at products that already exist in your niche, start writing reviews about them, do a video about it and put it up on YouTube, write about it on your blog, and see what kind of responses you get from it. Okay? You might be surprised. All right, let's move on. Number 12, eBay. Now, eBay is an online marketplace for buyers and sellers to come together and trade almost anything. You can start to make money by selling your own extra stuff. Now, this is always an option. I actually have a colleague that works with eBay every day, and that's one of his primary businesses. So you can certainly make money from eBay. It's all a case of buying and selling. It's pretty straightforward. I'll leave you to it to explore it further if you wish. Number 13, freelance services. Now this is something that's close to my heart because this is something that I do every day. This is part of my online/offline business. You can offer professional expertise in an online marketplace in return for compensation. Companies and business owners online are looking for freelancers to help in areas such as programming, coding, writing, consulting, and designing. And that's what I do. I operate a freelance design service. So companies approach me, and let's say they need a new logo, let's say they need an ad laid out for a magazine, or they need some illustrations done, whatever it might be. If you offer up your services as a freelancer, then people will come and find you. And there's different ways that you can do this. I've actually gotten a lot of contacts and a lot of connections through LinkedIn. I put just about everything that I'm able to do on my LinkedIn profile. And just this week, I got some interest from a company that wants me to help them with some web work for them. So you never know who is looking for what you have to offer. Okay? But I guarantee there's always someone looking for whatever it is that you are good at. Someone else, you may just see it as a hobby or something that you enjoy doing. Doesn't matter if it's art or writing, programming. Maybe you just you're like me. You're a geek and you enjoy creating websites. Well, you can leverage that, and companies who either don't have that expertise within their company, or are unwilling to pay someone to be on their payroll on a regular basis and increase their overhead, they would rather work with a freelancer, and you might get some work from them, say this month, and then you maybe wouldn't hear from them for 3 months. But if you get enough people, enough companies on board with you so they know what you do and they know they can call on you whenever they need help, that's gold. Because if you get enough of them, they can literally keep feeding you business and you'll be busy all year long. So, freelance services, something that I would definitely recommend. Get the word out. Again, go to forums. If you can luck out and find an email for somebody who's in charge of whatever portion of a particular company, whatever department your expertise lies within, shoot them an email. Tell them what you can do. Tell them that it would make more financial sense for them to hire you on a part-time freelance basis than having somebody sitting at a desk working, some of the time on these same tasks. And more companies all the time are looking for freelancers. I guarantee that, guys. Okay, because they just cannot afford the wages, the compensation, the insurance, the overhead in general for keeping someone on salary within their 4 walls who may only be busy for part of the time that they're there. Okay? Companies don't like to waste money. They want to know that they are spending their money wisely, and hiring a freelancer is a wise move. I don't care who the company is. Number 14, become a virtual assistant. Now this is somewhat similar to what I just talked about with the freelancing. Virtual assistants are likened to being a secretary, but everything is done online. As a virtual assistant, you might do anything from making travel reservations to handling expense reimbursements to paying bills to arranging for a dog sitter. You never know what it could be. All these things, you can do it all from your own home office, interacting with your clients online and by phone. Okay, so a virtual assistant is something else that is in high demand today. How many times have you walked into, a professional business and there is literally an empty reception desk with a telephone sitting on it and a little card that has a list of extensions that you can call, because the company literally has eliminated the quote-unquote receptionist position from their roster because they felt, number one, it wasn't necessary, and number two, they can hire a virtual assistant for less money and get just as good, if not better, service from their virtual assistant. And the awesome thing about the internet is you can be a virtual assistant in the United States for a company that's located in Europe, or vice versa. You can be a virtual assistant in your home office in Europe for a company in the United States. You may never physically one-on-one meet your client. You may only ever talk to them online and by phone or by Skype, but they pay you as though you're sitting at that reception desk. Okay? So if you have those skills, if you have that skill set, become a virtual assistant. Get the word out. Final one tonight, offer transcription services. Now, I'll be honest, this does not pay well, but it's easy to do. It's also a quick way to make money online. You need to have good command of English and good hearing to get a good transcription job well done. Okay? Very often, it could be a company, it could be an individual marketer, online marketer. Many, many times, people create content that is, let's say, more visual or more audible. Okay? They create a video, or they do like a teleseminar, whatever it might be. The thing is, these things are not necessarily tangible things. Now, when we talk about tangible today with the internet, it's a little different than it used to be. Tangible always meant, it was something that was down on paper. Somebody had handwritten it or typed it or whatever, and it was on paper. Now, what I would consider to be tangible is, for instance, a PDF file with the transcription of the audio version of that video or that teleseminar. So what I'm getting at here, guys, offering up a transcription service, you offer your services to take someone's video or audio and transcribe it into written word. And you give that back to them so they can, let's say somebody's doing a product launch and they do a big video splash, maybe they do a webinar, and it's all video based. They've shot it live as they've done the product launch, or they've had a big phone call with a bunch of people who have bought into their product on the product launch. And to attract future buyers, what they can do is leverage that content, have you transcribe it into text, and then they can take that and create an ebook or a report from it that they can then release to future people to turn them into consumers of the product or service. Okay? So offering transcription services, if you can type fast and you're a good listener and you know the English language really well, you can easily become a transcriber. Put yourself a gig up on Fiverr.com, Fiverr.com. Set up a gig for transcription services. I pretty much guarantee you're going to get something from it. Okay? So those are your 5 ways tonight to make money online. So try at least one of these strategies soon, and you will see a gain in your online success. And with that, I want to thank you very much for popping in tonight and checking out this webinar. We're right around the 40-minute mark, so I'm going to open it up for questions and answers now. Just a couple of things. Remember, please, these webinars happen every Wednesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, and all you have to do is look for my link. I'll usually send it out if you're on my existing mailing list. You probably got your link earlier today. You can find it on my Facebook group, which is called Frustrated Online Marketers. And I would encourage you to join that if you haven't already. Head on over to Facebook, join up with the mastermind group, Frustrated Online Marketers. And please check out my blog anytime. It's at buildyoursuccessonline.com. I refresh the content every day with new tips and tricks, different articles and blog posts about building your success online. That's what I'm all about. I want to help you succeed, because if you succeed, I succeed. So again, thank you very much for coming to the webinar tonight. I hope to see you all next week. I'll have another new topic for you, and we'll continue the series. So again, thanks, and let's start off with some Q&A now.